So I have got to be the last person on earth to do his review for this movie on YouTube. Nevertheless, we have made it up to my review for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, and this is actually a pretty good opportunity, being that I am reviewing it so late, that I can talk about spoilers now, and I most definitely will talk about spoilers, but first of all I just have to talk about the positives with this movie, because there's obviously a lot of positives when you talk about a Mission Impossible film. So Tom Cruise is, like always, the heart and soul of the Mission Impossible franchise. Yes, a lot of run-in shots, and they are all white-knuckled, they're all exhilarating and so much fun to watch. This movie continues what the previous I'll say 2 or 3 Mission Impossible films have, kept doing, in that it keeps it very tense, and as I said, white-knuckled. It's a very intense movie, but in a very different way than, say, the last one was. Also, if you want to see my previous reviews for the Mission Impossible films, go and check them out. They're pretty old, but, they are my thoughts. Anyway, so I did actually see this with my girlfriend Carmen. Now, she hasn't seen the previous Mission Impossible film. She's not aware. She is aware of Mission Impossible, but she's not up to date on the story. I guess fortunately you don't have to be, really, for this movie. You can just go into it like she did, watching this movie without knowing anything about the previous movies, and still be on the edge of your seat and feel like this. Like, it's so intense. The action scenes, there's a thrilling scene on a train, which has been mentioned before, but yeah, that scene was thrilling. Another extremely white-knuckled scene was with Benji in the airport when he's trying to defuse this bomb that actually turns out to be fake. This echoes the last movie, I guess, where Benji, of course, had to go and defuse a bomb. So they're continuing that. I guess that's going to be a thing now. And what I meant when I said that this movie is tense in a different way, you have this new threat that isn't a human threat, and it is the AI system that is trying to destroy the world, basically. In many ways, this is more threatening as an antagonist than the antagonist from the previous 2 films, Fallout and Rogue Nation. As good as those movies are, this one hits, it makes AI seem more realistic somehow than Terminator, and for so many years people have feared AI. To this day, people still fear AI because of those movies, but this movie somehow makes it feel more threatening while also making it more realistic at the same time, I guess. Because this thing can predict the future, essentially. It predicts all of the outcomes that may or may not happen, however small the chance is that it will happen or it won't happen. This thing has thought of it and mapped out a plan for that. So there are so many instances where our favorite characters are in a room together and they're talking to each other like, is this what the AI wants us to do, or should we just do what it wants? Because that's, there's so many instances where they are having this dilemma, and I am feeling like I don't know what's going to happen. To be honest with you, it's actually a very rare experience to have felt watching a movie about an AI. So in regards to the antagonists for this movie, that being, this AI machine that they're trying to go up against, that was very well done. Also, S.A. Morales, who plays Gabriel in this movie, I loved him. My first exposure to this guy was watching him in Titans Season 2 as Deathstroke. And let me tell you, all that energy that he put into that role, he's putting into this role, and he is perfect as the human side to this threat. And speaking of Gabriel, the connection that he has with Ethan in this movie, I will say we've never actually learnt that much about Ethan Hunt. This is the first time, I think, where we actually have gotten to learn a bit more about Ethan Hunt's past. Now, it is admittedly, a bit out of the blue, because they've never mentioned anything like this in the previous movies, and this is now the 7th one in the franchise. But putting that aside, the setup for this villain and how he relates to Ethan Hunt, their confrontations are, I was very invested in the moments when Ethan Hunt really wanted to kill this guy, and you don't get to see that often. You don't get to see Ethan actually wanting to kill someone.
There's no place that I won't go to kill you. That
Now, Gabriel is not the only new character in this movie. There are a lot of other new characters like Pom Klementieff? Pom Mantis from Guardians of the Galaxy. Fucking I did not see Mantis at all in this character. She is really good in this movie. She was a lot like the T-1000 from the Terminator. You know, seeing as I mentioned Terminator before, she was a lot like the T-1000 in that movie. You know, driving big vehicles, destroying everything in her path, but she had a great arc that, you know, left a tear in my eye, to be honest. But the other new character is, of course, Hayley Atwell's character. Can't remember her name, but she was really good in the movie. Hayley Atwell was really good in the movie, because I do have a sort of negative point I need to talk about, but I want to make it clear that Hayley Atwell was really good in the movie as this character who is essentially, you know, Catwoman, but sort of inexperienced in the whole spy espionage world. She has a lot of moments where she's trying to look out for herself, but she's freaking out in all these scenarios where people are after her, and Hayley Atwell was really good. But she is essentially Ilsa Faust. If you remember, you know, Rogue Nation, Ilsa Faust many times would side with Ethan, but then betray him, you know, later in the movie. Eventually we came to love her as a character because she became a part of the team, but in Rogue Nation she was not like that. She was kind of looking out for herself, like Hayley Atwell was in this movie. Hayley Atwell is another Ilsa Faust, just a little different. Which is why I was sad when they killed off Ilsa Faust in this movie. Yeah, big fucking spoiler. And I don't know what to think. I was sad to see Ilsa die, but at the same time, we had Ilsa number 2 standing right there. So I was kind of conflicted about that. In any case, I really enjoyed this movie. It was everything you expect to see in a Mission Impossible movie. And if that last comment about, you know, Hayley Atwell's character was too much of a negative point for you, you may agree with me, you may not, but in any case, that's just how I felt about her. Anyway, that is my review for Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. I will see you in my review for Part 2. Please do like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to up my subscriber count, and I do apologize for how late this video actually was. As I said, I was going over to Peru for pretty much all of July, so yeah, that's where I was, and that's what I was doing. So yeah. Anyway, I'll see you in the next video. So Tom Cruise is, like always, what else? Terminator kind of lives and dies. Hold on. They made it a whole, the new character in this movie.